by the end of tonight. The first of two sessions getting underway this afternoon in the city of brotherly love. Kevin Kopp, Tiara De Tomaso, former NCAA gymnast with you. And Tiara, all eyes will be on Penn tonight. They are the defending champions of the GEC. They are competing on their home floor. But we've got a great session this afternoon. 4 teams that will try to set the bar. One of these teams will be the leader in the clubhouse and see if their scores can hang on and hold up for a GEC championship tonight.
Yeah, you know, you always hope that someone in the first session has a shot at that winning title. Anything can really happen in gymnastics, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Should be a lot of fun today with 4 teams, quad meet action. It will be busy. It will be chaotic throughout, and we are excited to bring you all the routines this afternoon. And Tiara, let's start by taking a look at a couple of gymnasts to keep an eye on because there is some real talent in this field. Even though these are the 4 teams seeded 5 through 8 of the 8 teams in the GEC, they are loaded. And we'll start with Southern Connecticut State, Libya Allen.
Yes. You know, these gymnasts, they really have a lot going on. Big bar combinations from her. Definitely something we're looking forward to watching today.
Yeah, Southern Connecticut State comes in as the number 8 seeded team, and Libby Allen, part of that senior group that will try to deliver an upset result here for the Owls as they compete in the GEC championship. So that's Southern Connecticut State. Moving on to Cornell, who comes in as the top seeded team here. They're number 5 team in the GEC. Sydney Beers has been such a key contributor for this team for some years.
Sydney Beers has been really at the head of this team ever since she was a freshman. She's always so powerful, put up big routines on both vault and floor, but she's a strong competitor in the all-around.
Yeah, and that is going to be something we'll have to wait till tonight to see if that all-around score holds up, but it should be fun to watch. Meanwhile, Sarah Wozniak, second team GEC on the uneven bars, trying to propel 6th-seeded William and Mary here this afternoon. William and Mary coming in with a season-high score of 193.325. They'll try to put some pressure on the top seeds. Again, they're relying on some of that veteran strength. And Wozniak, one of them in the uneven bars. And wrapping up with Westchester, they are the number 7 seed overall. And Lily McFarland contributing multiple events, second team all GC.
Yeah, Westchester definitely happy to have her back. This is her 5th year season, so very glad that she came back and took that extra COVID year to be able to help the team out one more year.
All right, so teams are being introduced, and we are nearing the start of rotation number 1. 4 rotations in the afternoon. We'll have 4 more in the evening. Again, the teams William and Mary, Southern Connecticut State, Cornell, and Westchester. The draw was random, so it does not go in seed order. William and Mary has drawn the home order or Olympic order. They'll start on vault. They'll go to bars, beam, and floor. Southern Connecticut State, the 8th-seeded Owls, will begin on bars. The first rotation, Cornell will start on balance beam, and Westchester starts on floor. And Tiara, obviously, the conventional wisdom is you've got to do all 4 anyway. So every coach would like to downplay the order of the draw, but you've got to get your mind right. I think particularly for Cornell, who comes in as the top seed of these 4 teams, number 5 in the GEC. Never easy to start a club, particularly a meet with these championship sort of feel and expectations to have to go out and start on balance beam.
Yeah, balance beam is one of those events where you kind of want to get into your rhythm, and starting there can be difficult. It can be hard to find that rhythm right away, as opposed to starting on another event like floor or vault, where you can really just go out there with all of the power that you can and really attack those events. But balance beam, you've got to find that rhythm, and are going to look to try to find that right away in this lineup here.
The 4 teams not competing this afternoon will compete in the evening session. All 8 scorers are eligible for the overall GEC championship. Now, it's common that evening session is going to produce the winner. Obviously, you've got the top 4 teams in the league going tonight in Penn, Yale, Brown, and Bridgeport, and should be a lot of fun, and we'll have the coverage for you beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. tonight with that evening session. But you look at teams here in the afternoon trying to set the tone, and again, Cornell the number 5 seed, William and Mary the number 6 seed, Westchester the number 7 seed, and Southern Connecticut State the number 8 seed. You look at Cornell, their top score this year has been just over a 194, and I think that's kind of a reasonable benchmark when you look at what these teams want to do today, is set something in that 194 range, set a season high score, and then hope that maybe that's able to hold up tonight.
Yeah, you definitely are looking to peak here around this time. You've been building up all season, trying to build up that NQS. This is the last meet where a score can count towards your national qualifying score. And these teams are looking to peak at this time. They have potentially nationals, or if possible for them, qualify regionals. And so they really want to have as high of an NQS as they possibly can.
And you have for certain teams as well potential for USAGs, and there's lots of postseason implications, and you're right, it goes beyond just the team. None of these teams, at least in the afternoon session, are going to make that top 36 in the NCAA as a team compete to regionals, but there are some individuals that have the potential. And again, like you said, everyone wants to peak at this time. So working backwards from the idea that you want to walk away with a score in and around that 194 today, that's a 48.5 rotation score. And what that averages out to is a 9.7. And so you look at the numbers and you look at where teams may be able to push it at 9.8 or even 9.9 range. I think all of these teams, and as we looked at Tiara at the gymnast to watch earlier on in the meet, all of these teams have gymnasts that are capable of pushing into that high 9.99 range and could deliver some big scores.
Definitely.
And as the national anthem plays here in the lecture, we'll step aside for the moment and come back to get you set for the start of the GEC Championship. All right, the teams will begin their 2-minute transition and then a 4-minute touch warm-up before we get ready for the start of the first rotation. Again, it will be William and Mary to open on vault as we look at the 6-seeded tribe heading there. Over on the uneven bars, it will be the 8th seed, Southern Connecticut State Owls. Cornell, the Big Red, top seed in the afternoon, 5th seed overall in the GEC will begin on balance beam in Westchester. Golden Rams will go to floor exercise, and that is where Westchester is the number 7 seed. Will get random draw for the rotation order. And, of course, you've got to make your way through all 4 events. But as you said, Tiara, you get William and Mary able to go in that traditional home order, so a comfortable rotation for them. And be interesting to see Westchester, a team that has had some great scores on floor this season. Like you said, the ability to just go out there, go harness all that energy you have, all the excitement over competing in a championship environment and getting out there to get ready to start today. Meanwhile, Southern Connecticut State will begin on the uneven bars, and Cornell will draw the balance beam up first. Look at William and Mary as the transition clock starts ticking here. They'll be led by Samantha Bird. Caroline Blatchford will be second. Sarah Cooper third. Melissa Gow fourth. Sally Wood fifth. And Hannah Burke in the anchor position for William and Mary. Southern Connecticut State on the bar. Zoe Axel will lead off. Hannah Fitzgerald will be second. Grace Christensen will be third. Gabriella Dinishone will be fourth. Shreya Munchie will be fifth. And Kylie City will anchor for the Owls on bars. Cornell going to be Avery Bean will be first. Savannah Kakali will be second. Morgan Shambo will be third. Natalia Tirani will be fourth. Sydney Beers begins her day in the all-around. She'll be fifth. And Michaela Burton will anchor for the Big Red on the balance beam. And last but certainly not least, Westchester on the floor. Lydia Stoner gets the meet started. Kat Keener will be second. Caroline Cascade in third. Lily McFarland fourth. Emma Grace Kelly fifth. And Bridget Sullivan in the anchor position. And, Tiara, as you mentioned, wanting to peak at this time, wanting to finish the season strong for many of these gymnasts. This is your last career meet. You mentioned the 5 years for Westchester for each of these teams because of the last lingering bit of the COVID year and the extra eligibility. This is the last year for that 5th season of eligibility. And so these are veteran teams, and obviously a lot of emotion staring down the barrel, perhaps of competing for the final time. And so a lot at stake here as these teams get set to get underway.
Yeah, definitely. They all recently had their senior meet, their last times competing at home, and now they're just savoring those last few moments of being a gymnast in general before they retire. And those 5th years really came in handy and allowed for that experience on the team. 5th years can help the freshmen so much, just showing them how to stay composed in competitions, just what to do, where to be, when to be, and just all of those things that can be combined to help a team be so strong.
Very close for that 4th seed and the positioning in the evening session between Bridgeport and Cornell. The NQS of those teams separated by just over 3/10. Cornell, the 193-170 NQS, nearly a full point higher than William and Mary. So they are well positioned in this meet. They are the only team in this group that has cracked a 194 score this season. William and Mary has topped out with a 193-325 high score this year for Westchester, a high 192-192-8, and then the high score for Southern Connecticut State, a 191-8 this season. And tonight you get Penn, Yale, Brown, and Bridgeport, which will be a great competition. You have Penn as the lone team that has broken a 196 this year in the conference, and Yale trying to push them right on their heels, going above a 195. So a lot of talent, top to bottom, in this conference. The Gymnastics East conference only a couple of years old, 4th season for the GEC, but you look at this league, what it's done with these schools across the Northeast and into the Mid-Atlantic, and really a lot of talent in this region and in this conference.
Yeah, and Penn, those reigning champions, all of these other teams trying to beat them out this year. They've been those champions for the GEC the past couple of years. So hopefully this evening we'll see some big competition for them going into this meet.
Yeah, Penn won it last year up in New Haven on Yale's floor, and Yale would try to return the favor, look for an upset tonight as Penn comes in as the top seed competing on their home floor. They'll see what they can do, but again, not just the team competition, but also the event leaders for today. We won't have any awards at the end of this session because it is just the afternoon. We'll have to wait until tonight, but theoretically, each of the high scorers on vault, beam, bars, or floor could hold up tonight. We could have some individual winners. First team, second team, all-tournament team in the conference is at stake. And, of course, the all-around title as well will be handed out tonight. Sydney Beers is the lone all-around competitor in this afternoon session. So we'll be keeping an eye on Sydney throughout the day and leave you with where she finishes up. And these teams will hang around in the Philadelphia area today and see if they can be the recipients of some hardware when our 6 p.m. evening session finishes up this evening. All right, final seconds ticking down here on the touch warm-up clock, and we are about to get things started here at the Palestra. First rotation of the afternoon session. Again, William and Mary on vault, Southern Connecticut State on bars, Cornell on beam, and Westchester on floor. No team starting on what is their statistically strongest event. You have actually Southern Connecticut State and Cornell begin on what has been statistically their weakest event this season. So we'll see if they can get through it, set the tone, and have a chance to peak as meet goes on. And we are officially underway. Avery being on the balance beam, as we go to a quad box look for you here. We have floor top left, that's Westchester, Cornell top right on beam, Southern Connecticut State on the bars bottom left, and William and Mary about to begin their meet on vault bottom right.
Avery in such an important position here. The leadoff on balance beam, always an important spot to be in, but especially here in the first rotation, leadoff rotation. She looks very poised up there, very strong competitor. That's exactly what Cornell is going to want.
All right, meanwhile, ready to go on floor exercise. Lydia Stone leads off for Westchester, top left of your screen. First vault already, and that is Samantha Bird of William & Mary. As Bean finishes up, and you can see the early reaction from her tonight.
Slight step forward there on that vault, but a nice Yurchenko layout full to start.
And Southern Connecticut State now on the bars. Bottom left, that is Zoe Axel.
A little bit short on that last pass handstand. Mindful, a little bit out of control going into that double back there. Tried to hang on.
A nice job by Lydia Stoner to get the meet underway for Westchester. So officially one routine in the books for all four teams. Two judge panels here at the GEC, and we will await those scores. It's an opening 9.525 for Samantha Bird on the vault. Up second, bottom right of your screen, will be Caroline Blatchford.
You can see teammates in the back standing in the corrals, not allowed to be out and about on the floor at these championship competitions.
Yeah, even for the teams that have competed here, and honestly, even for Penn, where this is their home gym, it is just a different feel, a different environment. Everything about it is a little bit different than a regular season meet. And the corral is a big part of it as well. It looks like we are ready to go with Blatchford over on the vault for William & Mary.
Yurchenko tucked full, slight step off to the side. She did step over that line. However, that's not an automatic deduction. Those lines are just there for guidance for the judges. Not an automatic deduction if you step over them, unlike the floor lines.
1/10 neutral deduction for stepping out on floor. Second year of those directional lines on the vault as well. So Blatchford following that early 9.525 from Bird in the opening position. And here is Kat Keener, top left for Westchester on floor. Got a judges conference over on beam and a little extra weight coming for Savannah Kirkali.
Opened up with a front double twist on floor. Very difficult E element to do. Half punch front layout. Saw those two elements kind of stay at the same level. You want that second element to rise a little bit higher than the first. Final tumbling pass here. Closed out with a Rudy front 1.5 twist to a nice stuck landing.
Good start for Westchester. That follows the 9.575 in the opening spot for Lydia Stoner. And after the long wait, Savannah Kakali up second on the balance beam for Cornell. Judges still conferring over on the opening Southern Connecticut State bars routine. Sarah Cooper up third on vault.
Yurchenko layout half, just that little hop backwards. Directionally, you would have hoped for a slight step forward instead, but those blind landings can be very hard to land. You can't see the floor. You don't know where your feet are going to be at, so trying to just be confident in that landing is very important.
It's a 995 start value on vault. You can see the Westchester crowd, or excuse me, the William and Mary crowd right there by the vault runway cheering on the tribe. Hannah Fitzgerald is about ready to go as we look at the dismount for Kakali.
Right to that stuck landing. Very emotional. A lot of happiness, a lot of tears looks like for the team there.
And that is her only routine of the day. The senior, that's your moment right there. It comes early, but fitting reaction. Let's get another look as we come full screen here to take a look at Kakali on the dismount. A nice moment there as we come back live to Hannah Fitzgerald for Southern Connecticut State.
Jaeger right into that shoot over combination. Very difficult. Looks like she touched her feet there coming out of the shoot over. That is a deduction. Short on that cast handstand. But a good double back to finish. Needed a hit routine following that starter.
Yeah, opening 7.95 for Southern Connecticut State. That'll be the score that they look to drop. Meanwhile, Westchester, Caroline Cascadden coming in a little short on that double pike on the first pass. Melissa Gow up fourth for William & Mary on the vault.
Another strong twisting vault for William & Mary. Lots of upgrades from previous years. They had a lot of Yurchenko layouts in the past, but now they're getting those higher start value vaults. That helps them in terms of their team score, just getting a higher start in general.
Very solid start from William & Mary. Three scores in that 9.5, 9.6 range. Cornell open with a 9.7 on beam for being.
Cascadden had a fall on her second tumbling pass.
To drop the lowest score from the team total, and so now the pressure will be on Westchester after starting 9.575 and then really nice 9.775 from Kat Keener. They'll have to hit their last three routines to drop this score from Cascadden.
Low on that last tumbling pass. That second flip went down as opposed to going up. Again, we want that second flip to rise in those combination tumbling passes.
Behind you, we'll get another look at this third pass here for Cascadden. What you're talking about, that punch out of the first pass, looking for that amplitude on the second salto. Get the reaction there on the vault from Sally Wood for William & Mary, and the tribe all smiles right now as they've got one routine left. They've set a nice tone so far on vault. Over on the uneven bars, Grace Christensen up third for Southern Connecticut State. Bounce back with a 9.5 from Hannah Fitzgerald.
Another big Jaeger to shoot over combination. Tried to straddle, avoid hitting the floor as much as she could coming out of that. Cranking the Giants here. Double layout. Little hop on the landing, but a great dismount for them.
Picking up some steam halfway through the Owls' first rotation of the day. Scoring has been slow to come in over on balance beam, but ready to go. Finally, Morgan Shambo up third for Cornell.
Balance check there on that acro series, back handspring layout, step out.
Hannah Burke wrapping up the vault rotation for William & Mary in the anchor spot.
Another Yurchenko layout half, again with that higher 9.95 start value. The Tribe just ecstatic after that vault rotation.
And Cornell halfway home on balance beam as well. Looking good so far for the top seeded in this session, Big Red. Judges conference over following Cascadon's routine on floor, so a little bit of a wait there. And a 9-8 in the anchor position for Hannah Burke. How about that? A season-high vault score and an exclamation point on the first rotation for the William & Mary Tribe.
This is what we're talking about when we're talking about peaking just at the right time. The Tribe did just that on this opening rotation.
48.5, and again, go back to our little math lesson at the start. When we talk about working backwards from 194, that's exactly where you want to be. 4 48.5s across all four events gets you there, and William & Mary gets 48.5 on the number to start on vault. That matches their season-high vault score, and it puts them on a season-high pace at the end of one rotation here. So a phenomenal start for William & Mary on vault. Other teams trying to keep pace. Back to bars now with Gabriella Dinichone.
Got that shoot over directly to that handstand. And a toe on, pike off half. A very interesting routine there. Not the usual routine that you would see.
Look at those scores from William & Mary on vault, and particularly the back half of that lineup. Melissa Gowd, 9.775. That's a season high by a tenth. Sally Wood, 9.75, season high by half a tenth. Hannah Burke, 9.8, season high by half a tenth. They brought their best vaults when they needed to, and that's kind of the name of the game today, Tiara.
Definitely.
Well done by the Tribe. Now, couple of important routines here, particularly Westchester on floor trying to bounce back after that fall. They've got the right gymnast up, Lily McFarland, who's gone 9-9 this season, second team all GEC on floor. And for Cornell, meanwhile, they've got Natalia Tirani on the beam.
McFarland front through to double back. Did take that step out of bounds like we talked about. That is a 1/10 neutral deduction right off the bat. Big leap combination on balance beam. Always love when you see those gymnasts attack the leaps as they would in acro skill. That's how you want to be up on the beam. Aggressive, but also composed. Lily McFarland coming up on her last tumble pass here. Very nice double pike to finish. And balance beam, another hit routine for Big Red.
Cornell, again, we noted that they are starting on what statistically has been their weakest event, but if you can hit, get it out of the way, and have a chance to peak as the meet goes on, that will be a great sign for Cornell, and they have gone 4 for 4 thus far. 2 scores in the 9.7 range. Shambo, previously a 9.65. We'll await the score there from Tirani. And we have 2 left, Sydney Beers and Michaela Burton for Cornell.
And Sydney Beers, such a strong competitor in the all-around. She's definitely someone you want to have in that latter half of the lineup, someone you can count on to put up a hit routine.
Shreya Munchie, bottom left of your screen, Southern Connecticut State on bars.
Big release move there, starting off with a ray. Shoot over, slight leg separation there as she passed the low bar. You want to make sure those legs stay squeezed the entire time. Finished off with a double layout. Southern Connecticut is on that comeback from that first routine with that fall.
Yeah, they've bounced back nicely. Scores in the 9-4, 9-5 range. Not going to catch up to where William and Mary is, but keep them in the competition here if they can get one more hit routine from their anchor, Kylie City, and drop that early fall. Westchester has had few issues. They had the fall from Cascadon and then the step out of bounds from McFarland. They've got Emma Grace Kelly, another terrific competitor on floor, another second team all GEC selection up in that fifth spot, and then Bridget Sullivan, the anchor. We have got yet another conference between the judges over on beam. So those waits for Cornell gotten a little bit longer here, and Beers certainly, as you noted, a veteran and all-arounder. It's who you want in this tough spot, and we'll get the chance to take a look now at Emma Grace Kelly. McFarland, by the way, went 9.75, and that's with that 1/10 neutral deduction for stepping out, so a really nice routine overall.
Front layout, front Rudy to start. That Rudy's that front 1.5 twist. Kylie in that anchor spot for Southern Connecticut. Started off with a ganger right into that shoot over, looking for a hit dismount here so they can drop that fall in the beginning. And big hop back, but they got it.
Nicely done. That's some good battling there by Southern Connecticut State. Tough way to open the meet, and they have responded. And on what has been their toughest event of the year, the uneven bars. So good start. Now over on the balance beam now, Sydney Beers beginning her day in the all-around for Cornell.
Unfortunate fall there for Beers on that front toss. Acro series, no wobbles though. The sign of a strong competitor when it can bounce back from a fall that quickly. And gainer full, right to that stuck landing. Unfortunate fall in the beginning, but she did come back and was able to wrap up that routine as strong as she could.
Yeah, tough beginning there for Beers, who, in addition to being a great all-arounder, second team all-GEC on beam. And a bit of a pressure spot now for Michaela Burton in the anchor position for Cornell. Try to drop that fall and keep Cornell in good position here at the end of one rotation, while Westchester, one routine left as well, and will be Bridget Sullivan in the anchor position. William and Mary, the whole position right now, 48.5 on the vault. And Cornell and Westchester trying to drop falls earlier in their rotation so they can keep pace here. We're ready to go on floor exercise. Bridget Sullivan, who's had a season best 9.875. Westchester looking for a big capper to their first rotation.
Another Rudy on floor for Westchester, right into that double stag jump, kind of helps them nail that landing, takes away the uncertainty of a twisting skill landing, which can be hard to land and just step back straight.
Look at the bar scores for Southern Connecticut State. A nice rebound after that. Early score, that 7.95 for Zoe Axel will be dropped. The rest of the scores in that 9.4, 9.5 range. And now a critical anchor routine for Cornell. Michaela Burton, the sixth position, drop the fall from Sydney Beers just ahead of her.
Beautiful acro series, front aerial directly into that side aerial. Not the typical acro series that you see. A lot of the acro series in this competition will be that handspring layout step out. So very nice to see something different in that lineup. Front toss, had that little wobble there, but pulled those arms directly down. Looking to finish out her routine here. Round off 1.5 twist.
So both Cornell and Westchester and Southern Connecticut State really got those big performances from the back half of their lineup. The anchors, the veterans, the gymnasts that you count on to hit those routines and those pressure moments deliver there. And everyone gets through rotation one without counting a fall. And this one is wide open. TR, I think, want another look at Burton's routine here.
Yeah, just that slight hop on that dismount. Tried to hold on for that stick, couldn't quite get it, but again, needed that hit routine in that anchor spot and got it.
Now, William and Mary get started quickly with a 48.5 on vault. Westchester opens at 10.5 behind 48.350 on floor, waiting for the final Cornell score, and Southern Connecticut State opens with a 47.325. There's a look at the Westchester floor scores. Again, had that fall in the middle from Cascadden, responded well. 9.75 from Lily McFarland. Pit routines from Emma Grace Kelly and Bridget Sullivan. We'll see what the judges do here with Michaela Burton's anchor routine for Cornell. No exhibitions today in this championship setting, and in the second rotation, it will be William and Mary to bars, Southern Connecticut State to beam, Cornell to floor, and Westchester to vault. Judges still conferring over the final score for Burton. A look at William and Mary. A little bit of an extended wait coming off of vault, first team to finish, but they're going to try to recapture some of that energy and enthusiasm they had earlier, Tiara. They were fired up and should be very, very happy with where they stand going into rotation two.
Yeah, if those corrals weren't there, I'm sure you'd see those gymnasts jumping right up to that landing mat, celebrating with their teammates that just did their amazing vaults. But again, those corrals, they make that environment different. You have to stay within them. Only a couple gymnasts allowed on the floor, and the ones allowed on the floor, they're not allowed to cheer like they would if they were in the corrals. It makes their routines different. You don't hear your teammates beside you. You hear them from afar, and some people really rely on those teammates for that energy that they're getting for these routines.
If you think particularly a floor exercise where you have your teammates there kind of doing the choreo along with you, and sometimes right up to the edge of that floor mat, a little bit of a different feeling here for sure. And That's not to mention the added pressure that goes along with the championship setting here. As these teams know they are competing for a conference title. First of two sessions getting underway today. 6 p.m. the evening session. Penn, Brown, Yale, and Bridgeport. And we'll take a break. We'll come back and reset our first rotation scores, get you set for rotation 2. Again, William & Mary to bars, Southern Connecticut State to beam, Cornell to floor, and Westchester to vault as we continue here at the GEC Championship. Some of the highlights, Tiara, from the first rotation. We've got 3 teams separated by just a tenth of a point, so a very exciting beginning here to the afternoon session of the 2025 GEC Championships.
Yeah, we're seeing right now Cornell on balance beam, starting on one of their statistically lower scoring events, and they got up there. They hit 5 out of 6 routines, didn't have to count a fall. Very strong for them. They got that 48.475.
Yeah, they're going to open up a quarter of a tenth behind the leaders, who we'll get to in a moment. William & Mary, meanwhile, few issues in the middle of their lineup as well, but we're able to bounce back strong and finish off this rotation on floor exercise to get them started. High score for William & Mary, for Westchester over on the floor, a 9-8 from Lily McFarland. And Southern Connecticut State had some early issues on the bars, Tiara, but they were able to bounce back really effectively, drop that opening fall, and put up some nice scores in the mid 9.4, 9.5 range.
Yeah, Southern Connecticut, that fall in that very first spot, hard to get back from, but they were able to do so.
And the story of the first rotation, William & Mary equaling their season high on vault, a 48.5, 3 season bests from Melissa Gow, Sally Wood, and Hannah Burke, and really confident, poised start for William & Mary to begin the meet. So things have tightened up considerably here as you look at where we stand at the end of one rotation. You have William & Mary, that 48.5. On the vault, you have Cornell just a quarter of a tenth back at 48.475. Westchester right there. Southern Connecticut State, some work to do coming off of bars, but really exciting. And Tiara, again, just wide open here with 3 rotations left.
Yeah, anything can happen. These teams, only a couple tenths can make that big difference at the end for their team scores. So these slight tenths that are keeping them apart right now, they're going to count in the end.
Final seconds ticking down from the touch warm-up period. We'll be ready to begin rotation number 2. William & Mary is going to the uneven bars. Southern Connecticut State will be on beam. Cornell goes to floor, and Westchester goes to vault. And I think Cornell will be an interesting team to track here in this second rotation. You know, we mentioned, Tiara, that statistically beam has been their weakest event this year, where they are 68th in the country. They moved to floor now, where they are 14 spots better, 54th on floor. They've been above a 49 as a team this year, which is a 196 pace, and they can really do some great things on floor exercise. So we'll see how they are able to carry some of that momentum from beam into the second rotation. Kate Michelini will be leading off for Cornell. Bridget Sullivan to start for Westchester on vault. Sarah Cooper will begin for William & Mary on bars, and Hannah Zebdi on the beam for Southern Connecticut State.
Sullivan on vault. Yurchenko layout straight to a stuck landing. A lower start value, so want that strong landing there.
Bit of an early issue for Michelini, who had to put her hand down, it looked like, from our vantage point on that first tumbling pass.
Sarah Cooper on bars here, opened up with a big release move directly into that shoot over right to the handstand. Slight bit short on that last cast. Cranking the Giants for the dismount. Double layout. Bit of a step forward, but a strong start for William & Mary on bars. Gainer pike dismount on balance beam, stuck landing. Another way, just starting off this rotation well for Southern Connecticut with a hit routine.
Yeah, Michaelini ready to finish up for Cornell.
It's always hard to see those falls or putting that hand down on that first tumbling pass, but you want to come back and finish off the routine as strong as you can. Again, top 5 scores count, and you never know if someone else is going to have something happen later on in the lineup, and your score might have to count.
Yeah, every 10th could end up mattering. And again, you look at 3 teams that after a score correction for Westchester, you have 3 teams separated by a quarter of a tenth at the end of one rotation. It really cannot get any closer than that. A tie at 48-5 between William and Mary and Westchester at the end of one rotation. So, yeah, every 10th. And if you end up having to count a fall, you're right, preserve as much of that scoring as you can as we look at Maria Damiano. Will be getting ready to go second for Southern Connecticut State on the beam. That is top right on your screen. Looks like we'll be ready to go next with Westchester on vault, McCarthy Keene. Following a 9.575 to open up for Bridget Sullivan.
Another Yurchenko layout, hop off to the side directionally on that line, but again, not a immediate deduction.
Melissa Gow on the uneven bars for William and Mary.
Hack salto there right into a switch kip, eliminating the need for another kip cast pirouette to change directions. Blind full right into the double tuck and a stuck dismount.
Nice routine there by Gow following the opening 9.525, from Sarah Cooper.
The Tribe really bringing that energy that they had on vault to uneven bars.
Been very impressed by what William and Mary has done so far, and now ready to go on the balance beam with Damiano. Another look here from a moment ago. Gow on the uneven bars in the dismount.
Right to that stuck landing. Coach is so excited.
Have a big bend there off of the front aerial on beam for Damiano. Keep it going here.
Didn't connect that acro series. Not sure if she's going to go for another one somewhere else in the routine. That would be a big deduction if she was missing that requirement.
Lily McFarland first twisting vault for Westchester. Yurchenko tuck full. A little bit of a higher starting value to take those deductions from for McFarland. And she does redo the acro series, meanwhile, on beam, to answer your question.
Love when the gymnasts know those rules in the back of their mind. They know what they need to do in those routines, and they can adapt and adjust if there's a little mistake somewhere else. Gainer Pike off to the side of the mat. Looked like it bounced up. Kind of hurt her trying to step back and just get a clean landing.
A tough go of it there for Damiano. Meanwhile, Caroline Blatchford up third for William and Mary on the bars.
What a beautiful combination there. Yeager right into the shoot over. Again, short on that last handstand. But another stuck landing. William and Mary just feeding off of each other's energy.
That was sky high, floated to the ground. That was textbook there. Great finish. And you could see
head coach Kelsey Hinton just with that excitement and feeling all the emotions for her gymnasts as well.
Blanchford, another senior, and you can tell when those routines mean more. Meanwhile, Riley Harada, another good Yurchenko tuck full for Westchester. Got a long wait over on the floor here on that first routine for Michaelini. Wondering if it could have been some discrepancy on whether her hand actually hit the mat or got close. One judge might have seen one might have seen another. If those scores are out of range, they've got to connect with each other. So we'll see what the verdict ends up being. Michaela DeFrancisco will be second after the long wait.
Always hard to go up after a long wait. You really want to stay in the moment before you're competing and while you're waiting. Just going over those cue words, knowing what you need to do out there on that floor to have a good routine.
All right, over on the uneven bars, up fourth, Catherine Bear.
Huge Tkachev, again, connected right into that overshoot to the low bar. And another stuck landing. I'm so impressed by William and Mary on the uneven bars right now.
You got it. You can't script a better first two rotations right now for the Tribe. They have done everything they can do. And when gymnasts talk about stuck landings becoming contagious, you're witnessing it right now from William and Mary. Finally ready to go on floor, Michaela DeFrancisco, and over on beam, Angelina Stanfa.
Triple series, absolutely solid on balance beam. And first tumbling pass there, that double back, just that step back. But both of these competitors looking to come back after those routines before them. Dismount off to the side, round off 1.5. Looks like Southern is just having a little bit of difficulty with these landings. You know, we talk about those handstands on bars, but these landings are also important. Taking a step on each landing, those add up, those tenths, and these tenths are everything in gymnastics.
Shannon Carroll on the vault.
Yurchenko layout, short, step forward. Directionally, you want that step backwards on a backwards flipping skill.
But first counting routine of the season for Carroll, and to do it in a big moment. Nice job by her. We'll have one left, Caroline Gruber, in the anchor position for William and Mary as DeFrancisco finishes up. By the way, the score for Michaelini, a 9.05, so it did reflect that opening fall and some work to do for Cornell here on floor exercise, which again has been their strongest event. They should be feeling confident, but tough start to the rotation here. Getting ready for Sarah Wozniak over on the uneven bars. Remember, we highlighted her in the open. She is second team all GEC on this event. So you've already got it clicking for William and Mary, coming off of a 9.85 for Caroline Blatchford season high. Catherine Bear just barely missed her season high with a 9.725. They're putting up some great bar scores. And now you've got arguably your best bars worker in Wozniak ready to go. So we'll see if they can keep it moving. And it looks like next on the beam will be Gabriella Dinichone.
Looks like Acro series coming up here. Back handspring layout, step out, not a single wobble.
Final vault for Westchester.
Another Yurchenko layout. Got that stuck landing.
All right, and now Wozniak on the uneven bars.
Blindfold Ganger, hand slipped off, but managed to hang on with just one arm. Takes a lot of strength to do that, and she's going to continue going. And a double layout, and gets that stick again. William and Mary. Very impressive from her. The grit strength to do that is absolutely insane. And to stay on the bar and finish off a routine like that, just incredible.
Yeah, it's good fight by Wozniak there. Looks as if, meanwhile, Cornell has had a lineup change on floor, and that's Nora Sherman in the third spot. They've moved Whitaker and Rothstein down, and Josie Moylan has come out of the Cornell lineup. So Sherman finishes off her routine. Remember that early fall for Cornell, and they've got some work to do. We've got the bars anchor, Michelle No, coming up for William & Mary, trying to cap off another great rotation for the Tribe. And Alexa Melanson will be up fifth for Southern Connecticut State, but we've got a conference between the judges over on beam.
You know, these stricter judging rules. A lot of judges' conferences this year because of it.
Yes, there have been some attempts to renorm the way in which these scores are calculated, and some attempts at how the judges' scoring itself is evaluated, and it's always the subject of plenty of controversy in and around the sport. And I agree, especially as the season started. I think judges, especially trying to find their way within these new parameters. But we've had plenty of discussion today. There's a look at the numbers for Westchester on vault. They'll drop that 9-2 from Shannon Carroll. It's a 47-8 overall for Westchester. Only a tenth and a quarter off of their season high vault score. It's not their strongest event because you look at all those Yurchenko layouts, not going to get you the same start value as, say, a William and Mary with those twisting vaults, but overall, pretty good execution for Westchester. Cornell on floor. This is Cammie Whitaker, moved down in the lineup to fourth.
Unfortunately, No on the uneven bars, had that fall on that first release move.
Well, and a really tough finish here for William and Mary. We talked about all of the momentum, great fall. First four competitors all hit, and then you have Wozniak, who loses the handle on the release, and now a fall from No, two of your strongest bars workers, unfortunately unable to deliver, and now William and Mary has to count a fall.
But No, came back from that fall, still got that stuck dismount, still finished off the routine as strong as she could. Cammie Whitaker on floor, round off double back, lots of power there.
And so Cornell has done a nice job with 3 straight hit routines after the opening fall. They've got 2 more to go from Addie Rothstein and then Sydney Beers in the anchor spot. And judges ready to go here for Alexa Melanson over on the balance beam, right side for Southern Connecticut State.
Very confident and aggressive on this choreography. Looking for that to translate into her skills. Front aerial, tried to go right into that back handspring. A little off to the side, didn't get the connection, or got the connection, but didn't land the skill.
So Southern Connecticut State is going to end up counting a fall as well. They had the 9.05 earlier in the rotation from Damiano, who had to repeat the acro series and then had trouble on the landing with that extra stumble.
Cartwheel, tuck 1.5, dismount, hop forward on the landing, but was able to finish off that routine.
Cornell has put up one of the high scores of the afternoon session, a 9.825 from Cammie Whitaker. So safe to say they've got the momentum back on this event where they have been so strong this year. And now Addie Rothstein up fifth for Big Red.
Yeah, looking for these last two routines to be hit. Front tuck through to a double back. Big first tumbling pass and combination pass. Nice leap combination, a little bit crooked on those straddles. Want to make sure both legs are as even as possible. Rothstein, very controlled double pike landing. Great routine for her on floor. Cornell just looking for one more hit routine in that anchor spot so they can drop that fall.
And Southern Connecticut State with one last routine as well. Angel Lee in the anchor position. And she is ready to go.
Deep breath before mounting the beam. Unfortunate fall right there, right at the beginning on that full turn. You can't let that focus slip, even on those simple skills, or quote unquote simple. Nothing really is simple in gymnastics.
No, certainly not on beam.
Aerial back in spring, beautiful combination. Nice straight legs there on those acro skills. And on floor here for Cornell, we have Sydney Beers in that anchor position.
Beers had a tough fall herself over on the balance beam to trying to get her all-around day back on track.
Huge double back tuck to start. Just absolutely floats in the air. Lots of breathing time here in the choreography before this next tumbling pass. Front tuck through to double pike. And another hit routine for Cornell. They are able to drop that fall earlier in the lineup.
Yeah, great job. And they got better and better as that rotation went on. You look at Whitaker with the 9.825, just a quarter tenth off of her season high. 9.875 for Addie Rothstein, which is a new season high. And now Sydney Beers, who's also previously gone as high as 9.875 this season. We'll see what this scores for Cornell on floor. But after the tough start, they were able to bounce back. Meanwhile, William and Mary, just tough finish there. Wozniak and No both have issues in the 5 and 6 spots after you look at those first four, TR, they were sticking landings. They were fired up. It was all going in their direction, and tough to see that momentum come to a little halt, and we'll see if they can get it back on bounce.
Yeah, both William and Mary and Westchester came into that last rotation with that high score. Both of them coming away with maybe not their best scores in these second rotations, but Cornell was very close to both of those teams, and they were able to hit 5 routines to count in this rotation. So they might take the lead after this second rotation.
Some issues for Southern Connecticut State on balance beam. You look at the 9.25 and the 9.05 will both have to count for the Owls as they slip further behind in fourth. And again, waiting on that last score for Sydney Beers of Cornell, but it appears that Big Red, well, there you go. It's a 9.875. They're going to be able to get some distance between themselves and the rest of the competitors. The top-seeded Big Red showing why right there. 3 scores of 9.8 or better to finish up on floor exercise. Nicely done by Cornell, and they get to a 97.450 at the midpoint of today's meet. We are officially halfway home with 2 rotations in the books. 2 to come. William and Mary to beam, Southern Connecticut State to floor, Cornell to vault, and Westchester to bars as we continue from the palestra. Okay, perfect. Welcome back, everyone. Second rotation highlights here from the afternoon session of the GEC Championship. Cornell setting the tone on floor exercise. 48-9-7-5 for Cornell, and they are able to get some distance between themselves and William & Mary, Westchester, and Southern Connecticut State in the second rotation. Tiara, really impressive performance, especially considering it started with the fall, and they were able to bounce back and have one of their best scores of the season.
Yeah, such strong gymnasts, knowing they can come back from that fall. You can rely on each other and have each other's back so you can drop that low score. Southern Connecticut on beam didn't quite have the best day for them. Lots of mistakes here and there.
Yeah, 3 falls in all, having account scores of 9.05 and 9.25, and you see that 46-9 on beam, not where the Owls wanted to be in that second rotation. William & Mary, it was up and down. Their first 4 routines hit, and they had a couple of really impressive stuck landings, but Tiara, unfortunately, not able to keep that momentum going. They had some issues in the 5th and 6th spots, and they dropped to a 47-7-5-0 after a really nice start on vault. And Westchester as well, solid vault set. Again, a few vaults that didn't have those twisting elements. 9.75 starts on those layouts, so not able to get to the same heights that Cornell did in score, but fine execution for the Rams as they head to bars. And we are getting underway with Southern Connecticut State, top left of your screen on floor exercise. That is Sydney Wilson.
Yeah, round off double pike to start.
Over on beam, Sarah Cooper in the leadoff spot for William & Mary. First vault complete by Addie Rothstein.
A nice Yurchenko layout full there to start on vault for Cornell.
Again, that's going to help, just having those Yurchenko layout fulls in the lineup, the ability to start from that 9.95 start value and take your deductions from there. Give Cornell a little bit more separation. And catch the dismount there for Cara Vargo, finishing up for Westchester on the uneven bars. So one routine underway there.
Big combination on floor there. Round off 1.5 twist into that granny, or just front half into a switch split jump. Lots of elements in a row there to finish off that routine for Southern on floor.
Full turn, that required element for Cooper on beam. He's setting up for her dismount.
Gainer full off the side. Just a step back on the dismount, but a hit routine nonetheless to start on balance beam. Cami Whitaker on vault. Yurchenko tuck full, very controlled landing, step back.
Cornell went 48-9-7-5 on floor. That was less than a tenth off of their best floor total of the year. We'll see what they can do here on vault. Opening with a 9-7 from Rothstein. We'll have the scores from Whitaker in a moment. Avery Bean will be up next.
Had a pause here, just waiting for all the judges.
Once in a while, even in the quad meet with everything going on at the same time, you actually get a little moment to breathe. Here we go. Up second on bars, Riley Harada.
Swing half into that Tkachev.
Ava Kelly getting underway on floor for Southern Connecticut State, and Melanie Faulkner on beam for William & Mary.
Harada with a hit routine and a stun landing on bars.
in with that front entry vault for Cornell. Following a 9.7 and a 9.675. Halfway done on vault for Big Red.
Faulkner on balance beam hit that acro series. Beautiful splits on those leaps, on that leap combination there. Solid side aerial. And Kelly on floor looking to wrap up this routine. 3 acro skills in a row. And a stuck landing on balance beam.
Nice job there for William and Mary. Faulkner following the opening 9.55 for Cooper. Fargo open with a 9.4 for Westchester on bars. Sydney Wilson started with a 9.6 on floor for Southern Connecticut State. Back on vault, up fourth, Dahlia Javeri.
With a Yurchenko layout full, took that hop back. But again, these twisting vaults helping Cornell get that higher start value, giving them that edge in this competition like William and Mary, as opposed to competitors like Westchester who had those Yurchenko layouts with the lower start values.
Cornell starting to put some distance again between themselves and the 6, 7, and 8 seeds, William and Mary, Westchester, and Southern Connecticut State, respectively.
Uneven bars for Westchester. This is Melina Ringus. Opened up with a ganger, looked a little close to the bar, but she stuck with it. And a nice shoot over right to handstand. And with those legs squeezed, those turning elements, that's when they normally separate. And a double layout and a stuck landing.
Great routine there, and you can see gets good reaction from Ringus, excuse me. Now Royer on floor for Southern Connecticut State, on the beam for William and Mary, Caroline Blatchford.
And on vault, Cornell had another strong vault, Yurchenko layout half. Again, that higher start value.
We get one of the best vaulters in the conference. Sydney Beer is in the anchor spot for Cornell. So Big Red very well positioned right now. The low score at the moment is a 9.5. Almost certain to drop that with Beers, who has been first team all GEC on vault 3 consecutive seasons.
On floor, a nice floaty Rudy to finish off this routine. And on balance beam, looked a little like a stick, but also a little like a hop.
I was waiting to see what you were going to call it, Tiara. She popped up on her toes just a bit. We'll see. Sydney Beers, meanwhile, on vault.
Beautiful. So much height, so much distance from that vault table. Just such a powerful athlete.
Well, unfortunately, Sarah Eskew casts over on that first handstand, so some work to do as she tries to bounce back here on bars.
You know, that's the risk of going for those handstands. You need those handstands, want to minimize your deductions, but sometimes you just shoot it a little too hard, go right over that bar. Went short on that last handstand, tried to be a little bit conservative. and a blindfold double back. Just that step back on the landing. You know, just unfortunate she had that fall over on that cast.
Michelle No getting ready on balance beam. It'll be Hannah Zebdi on floor exercise. And 2 left on bars for Westchester, Jordan Coleman and Tatum McGinn.
Michelle No coming off of that fall on the uneven bars, moving over to balance beam. She's looking to get back on track here. Such a strong competitor. She's very capable of putting up a high score on this event. She just needs that confidence in herself.
Look at the Cornell vault scores, and again, Sydney Beer was 9.85. Terrific exclamation point on the end of that vault rotation, and very solid overall for Cornell. They dropped that 9.5. It's a 48-4 as a team. 0.2 off of their season high, but it keeps them in the pole position, so to speak, here as the leader going into the last rotation. Back on floor, Hannah Zebdi.
That big double tuck to start. Meanwhile, on balance beam, No hitting a great routine so far. And another hit acro skill. Now that was a stick.
No doubt. No doubt for us.
Planted.
No doubt for the judges. Well done by No, and a good bounce back, like you said, had that tough ball. Nice job. Over on bars, Jordan Coleman, who is an all-GEC competitor on this event. Second team on bars all 4 years in her career. She has been so solid throughout for Westchester.
Yeager shoot over a little far away on that release move. She really stretched to be able to catch that. And a beautiful Rudy to a split jump on floor. And Coleman just a step back on that dismount. But coming off of that routine before her, Sarah Eskew casted over. Unfortunate fall there for her. So getting back on track for the Rams.
Yep, and they'll have one routine left in the anchor position that they'll need to drop that 8-9 score from Eskew. That's the one they want to get rid of right now. Nice bounce back by Coleman. Ringus with the high score of a 9-7 at the moment, and it will be Tatum McGinn in the anchor spot for Westchester. We've got 2 left on beam, 2 left on floor. Wait for the scores to trickle in. It will be Melissa Gow on balance beam for William & Mary, Erica Byer on floor for Southern Connecticut State. Looks like the judges are going to have to get together over on the beam, so a little bit of a wait there. Looks like it's going to be a 9-7-5 on floor for Zebdi, which matches Royer for the high score so far. It's been a really nice floor rotation for Southern Connecticut State. In the anchor spot on bars, Tatum McGinn.
A different routine composition than you'd normally see. Put that release move at the end of the routine, but couldn't quite hang on. Didn't look like she got her hands completely over the bar.
Tough finish for Westchester as they are going to have to count the fall here on bars in the third rotation. Floor now for Byer.
Beautiful double tuck.
Southern Connecticut State, strongest on floor and vault, and they're showing us why here. This has been a really nice floor rotation. All scores, 6 are about 397 so far, and you've got Byer and Lydia Allen, two very strong competitors in these final two spots.
Trying to get those last few breaths before this final tumbling pass. And a Rudy twist. You can see that smile. She's happy about that routine.
Well, and you can just feel when that momentum takes over. We saw it from William and Mary in the first rotation on vault. We're seeing it right now from Southern Connecticut State. They're just knocking out routine after routine. And after a long wait on beam, we're ready to go. Melissa Gow. Ended up being a 9-7 for Michelle No ahead of her. So the beam scores have been very solid for William and Mary.
Very solid on that acro series. Looking to bounce back after their bar rotation. Started off strong, had those few mistakes at the end. Hoping to kind of reverse their luck here, get those end routines to just be better than the ones before them. And with that standing layout step out, it seems like it's happening. Leap combination, switch leap, straddle half, beat jump. Really absorbing those landings. And a round off 1.5. Step forward on the dismount. Didn't get that stuck landing, but hit routine, beautiful routine, very solid while she was on the balance beam.
All right, one to go on floor and on beam. Libby Allen trying to cap off what has been the best rotation of the day for Southern Connecticut State. Erica Byer just matched her season high with a 9.775. Here's Allen, who's gone as high as 9.8 this year for the Owls.
Opening tumbling pass. Double pike. So controlled on the landing. Beautiful front layout to front full. Deep breath before the last tumbling pass. Double tuck to finish. Allen with a great routine to close out this floor rotation. What a strong rotation for the Owls.
Yeah, great to see after, some tough moments there on balance beam, but they did not let the meat get away from them at all and bounce back on floor with far and away their best rotation of the day. Beam judges having a tough time really throughout this whole afternoon. Sometimes you just get two judges that are not on the same page. And a lot of this is typically over whether a connection, whether it's made or missed, and obviously that's going to account for a difference in start value of the routine. But two judges that have just not seen eye to eye this afternoon. We've had a lot of delays over on beam, and the wait will continue for Madeline Frazier, who is in the anchor spot. And that will be our last routine of the third rotation before we come back with the fourth and final rotation here from the Blesher. We'll be halfway home in today's GEC Championship. A reminder that the evening session will start at 6 o'clock p.m. You get it right here on ESPN Plus. That will be Penn, Brown, Yale, and Bridgeport. And then all 8 scores will get pitted against each other. We'll have a team winner. We'll hand out individual winners, all-around champion, and lots to be decided tonight. So we are just getting started here at the University of Pennsylvania this afternoon. Big day of gymnastics ahead. Chester on the uneven bars and got off to a fine start. Ringus with that 9-7 in the middle, just unable to keep that momentum going down the home stretch. Falls from Eskew, who had the trouble on the handstand, and then McGinn in the anchor spot on her release. So overall for Westchester on the uneven bars, it is a 47-150. And how about Southern Connecticut State? 9-8-2-5 for Libby Allen. That's a season high. Same for Bayer. 48-8, new season best floor score for the Owls, and that is something they can feel very, very good about. Over to beam. Last routine of this rotation, it is Madeline Frazier.
William and Mary already had 5 hit routines, but they are looking to still, top that first score, 9.55. They can do better than that, but Frazier in a good spot here as the anchor, knowing that 5 hit routines have already come up before her.
As close to pressure-free as you can get, then we know there's a lot of pressure when you're talking about a GEC championship.
Throwing in that WM for William and Mary on balance beam, just showing off that school pride. And a front toss through to a scale. So impressive, landing that skill on one leg. And just another difficult element, that split jump half, doing it sideways instead of forwards, adds difficulty to it, higher start value for that. And we're wrapped up with a round off 1.5 to a stuck landing.
There's some really unique elements in there throughout for Madeline Frazier, who's gone 9-8-2-5 this season for William and Mary. And you look at both the Tribe and the Owls, so feel great about what they were able to do. And Cornell, it's been a while since they finished up on vault, but remember they had 6 great hit vaults, including a 9-8-5 from Sydney Beers. So I think really just a bounce back overall for many of these teams in the third rotation. Some really strong gymnastics as we get set to head to the 4th and final rotation here at the Palestra. One more score to come in, and we'll have it for you as we get set on the Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Kopp, Tiara De Tomaso with you. Plenty of highlights from the third rotation, beginning with Southern Connecticut State. They knocked it out of the park on floor exercise, a season best total score of 48-8 from the Owls, and great to see Tiara bounce back after a tough beam set.
Yeah, those first 2 rotations for Southern were a little bit difficult, so coming on to one of their strong rotations and really just being able to capitalize on the scores there, very good to see for them.
Still in 4th place overall, but able to make up some ground on the field. Meanwhile, William Mary, you could say the same on beam, 48-4 as you see the team scores in the bottom right corner. They matched what Cornell did on ball. Very nice beam set for the Tribe.
Yeah, lots of strong beam work up there. Looked very confident on the balance beam and had some nice stuck landings.
It was their best event statistically. They showed us why. The high score for William & Mary on being the 9-8 early on from Melanie Faulkner, but solid six hit routines throughout for William & Mary as they set up on floor for the final rotation. Westchester had some issues on Mars 47-150 for the Rams. A couple of tough miscues, but also some highlights in that rotation as well.
Yeah, Melina Ringus had a very strong routine and finished off with that double layout right there to that stuck landing.
She was the highest scorer for the Rams with a 9-7 on that event, 9-6-2 for Coleman, but a couple of late falls ended up hurting Westchester, and meanwhile Cornell continues to be steady. They knocked it out of the park on floor, kept it going with a 48-4 on vault. A couple of those higher start value, 995 start value vaults, and that has made a lot of the difference, and they go to the final rotation in very good shape. And that brings us back live to the fourth and final rotation. William & Mary finish it up on floor. Southern Connecticut State on vault, Cornell on bars, and Westchester on beam. There are your meet scores through 3 rotations, and it is Cornell that has opened up some distance between themselves and everyone else. And remember, these scores will count overall, so it is conceivable you could have the winner or certainly a top 2 or top 3 performance come out of this afternoon session. Cornell hoping to do just that, 145.850. William & Mary in second, 144.650. Westchester 143.550 in third, and Southern Connecticut State a 143.025 in fourth for the Owls. All right, one last rotation to come, and then we will again leave you with the final team scores and encourage you to tune back in tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. for the evening session where we will solidify the 2025 GEC winner. We'll have the individual event awards as well. So lots of hardware to be handed out tonight. This is the last chance for these teams to set the tone, and then they'll sit around and wait to see how these scores hold up this evening. And we are underway already on the uneven bars. Avery Bean getting started for Cornell.
She had an interesting foot slip there on that release move going into the Maloney. Had to repeat the element. And, that's taking a lot of effort and grip strength here, so that shoot over a little bit short, feet dragged on the floor.
Hannah Zebdi getting started on vault. Meanwhile, Yurchenko tuck for a little bit of a hop forward. Out of control on landing there. Over on floor exercise, Bryn Vitrano, will start for William & Mary, and getting ready momentarily to open up on beam for Westchester is McCarthy Keene.
Nice first tumbling pass, front layout to front full for Bryn on floor. Keene on balance beam, triple series, back handspring, layout, step out. Very solid, got those arms straight down, eliminated any potential wobbles. Toronto on floor with a double tug, big hop back on landing, but managed to stay inbounds.
Meanwhile, up second for Southern Connecticut State on vault will be Ava Kelly after a 9.55 from Zebdi.
And a Suk tuck full. Very difficult vault. Hard to get as much power from a Suk entry as you can a Yurchenko entry.
I think important to note we've seen some really great variety in routine compositions, some different vaults as well. Part of what makes gymnastics, especially at this level, so much fun. You get to see some diversity in those routines, and I've seen some terrific skill.
Yeah, always interesting to see who prefers going forwards, who prefers going backwards, and how they really lay into that in their routines.
Have gymnasts that prefer to twist versus flip on floor. There's a lot of different ways to get to those start values and compose your routine, and part of what puts the artistic in artistic gymnastics, and we have seen plenty of that on display this afternoon. Little wait here as we get ready for second routines. It's like Natalia Tirani will be up second on bars for Cornell. Up second on floor, Sally Wood for William & Mary.
Natalia on bars. Ganger into that shoot over. Had leg separation in both elements on the twist, but got that last handstand. Yurchenko layout full on vault for Southern. Nice clean leap combination on floor. Those leaps and jumps equally as important as those tumbling passes. Want to make sure they're also staying as clean as possible and landing as clean as possible as well. Wood on floor, finished out with a Rudy front 1.5 twist.
And after another one of those excruciatingly long waits on beam, there have been plenty today. Emma Grace Kelly finally ready to go. She is second team all GEC on this event. Well, on vault, Sydney Wilson.
Yurchenko layout full. Again, higher start value. Had that slight hop forward.
On the bars, Sydney Beers wrapping up her day in the all-around. Had a tough start with that fall on beam, but has picked it up. Great floor, great vault. See what she can do here on bars.
Yeah, started with that big Tkachev inside the bars and finished off that toe on front off half. You know, had that fall in that first rotation, but came back, hit 3 more rotations.
Emotional finish there for Beers, and plenty of celebration over on the beam for Emma Grace Kelly. Great routine for Westchester.
I believe that's actually Lydia Stoner. It looks like they changed their lineups.
They did indeed. Emma Grace Kelly is going to be third. Tatum McGuinn will be fourth. Natalie Marshall fifth, and Lily McFarland at sixth. So Cascadon has been taken out of the initial lineup for Westchester.
She did have that fall in the first rotation on floor, probably not feeling too great. Thought it was best to pull her out, put someone else in on balance beam.
Oh, great credit to Stoner for stepping in there and delivering an excellent routine. Ashley Rudy over on the floor. Kylie City up fifth.
Very interesting vault. Yurchenko full on tuck off. Doing that twist in the pre-flight as opposed to the post-flight. William and Mary, another Rudy on floor. And recently been seeing this movement to 2-pass floor routines. They're becoming a lot more common than those 3-pass floor routines we used to see all the time in the past.
Different ways to build that bonus up to get to that 10-0 start value. Granador will be in the anchor position on vault, but first on the uneven bar is a tough fall for Addie Rothstein of Cornell.
Didn't look like she had enough height coming out of that release move. You want to be at least level with the bar, if not higher, makes catching those skills easier.
All right, Southern Connecticut State to wrap up their day.
And a nice tuck full for them. You know, they really came back on those last 2 rotations.
Over on beam, meanwhile, this is Emma Grace Kelly.
And Rothstein on bars closed out with that double layout, came back from that fall earlier on in the routine. Also interesting to see how these gymnasts come up with the ways to fulfill those requirements like we were talking about. You know, on both beam and floor, they're required to go both forwards and backwards. So sometimes you see those simpler elements, like Kelly on balance beam just did a back walkover as her backwards element. Or on floor, you'll see just a simple back tuck or layout step out.
All right, back over to floor. Summer Penzie up fourth for William & Mary.
Round off double pike to start. Round off 1.5 punch front layout. Second flip didn't rise up as high as we would have liked.
Back over on the uneven bars. Morgan Shambo following the fall, trying to get Cornell back on track.
Finished up her routine on floor with a step double tuck in the last tumbling pass.
Nicely done by William & Mary.
On bars, kept it a little safe, came super close to that bar on that release move, didn't really want to go away. Cornell had a couple mistakes in the lineup, so they really want to hit these last 2 routines as cleanly as possible. And a nice double layout to finish.
Look at Southern Connecticut State on vault. They finished strong. The 9.725 scores from Kylie City and Brianna Dorr. And it adds up to a 48-2 on the vault for Southern Connecticut State. And really nice finish. They can feel proud of the way that they competed, particularly on floor and vault. It's going to be a 191-175. Not quite up to a season high score, but ahead of their NQS, and did a nice job and had some really great routines in the back half of today's meet. Over on balance beam, up fourth, Tatum McGinn.
Front aerial back tuck as her acro combination.
Burke over on floor exercise for William & Mary. And the last routine of the competition for Cornell will be Dahlia Juveri. Finish up the Big Red.
Big double tuck on floor, a couple steps back, went out of bounds, I believe. Gonna get that 1/10 neutral deduction.
Finish, meanwhile, for McGinn.
Beautiful combination on the uneven bars. Straight into that switch kip, changing directions. Right back up to the high bar. Blind full, double tuck. Just that step forward. But another hit routine, which was needed for Big Red, closing out this rotation.
Unfortunately, bars caused a lot of issues for a lot of teams today, and Cornell going to have to count a fall as well. No one other than Southern Connecticut State, who had that fall in the very first routine, hit the next 5, no one got out of it completely unscathed today.
Hopefully the night session can kind of break that and bring some more luck into that rotation.
Nice finish by Hannah Burke. Mary has had great support here. It's the longest of the drives to Philadelphia. Tribe have been well represented, and now Michelle No will get to finish the meet for the Tribe. We have 2 beam routines left for Westchester, Natalie Marshall and Lily McFarland. So time winding down here in the afternoon session. Southern Connecticut State becomes the first team to post a score, 191-175, and the final number is in for Javeri as well, a 965. So Cornell has their scores locked in. Full screen, we'll take a look at Natalie Marshall up 5th for Westchester on beam.
Westchester been doing a nice job in this final rotation. So far they've hit 4 for 4 routines. Just those 2 routines left. Solid acro series. Really emphasizing the finish there.
Look at the Cornell uneven bar scores, and again, those falls from Bond and Rothstein end up hurting Cornell's ability to get up higher into that 194 range, finish strong with Shambo and Javeri, but a little bit of a disappointing final note for Cornell, 47.075 on the uneven bars to finish. Get the dismount from Marshall. 1 routine left for Westchester, 1 left for William and Mary. We'll get it now. Michelle No.
This is her 3rd event of the night. She had that fall on the uneven bars, but she came back, hit a beautiful beam routine. So looking to carry on that momentum from balance beam here to floor. Opens up with a 1.5 twist. Nice leap combination there. Round off 1.5 punch front layout.
Come out split screen here for the final routine of the day for Westchester. Lily McFarland over on beam as No finishes up for William and Mary.
A little bit off on that series there. Lily turned and wobbled sideways, but she managed to hold on. a little bit of pressure is relief for her. Westchester did put up 5 hit routines before she's gone, all with high scores. Dismount coming up here. Round off 1.5 twist to finish out this session here today.
Well, some ups and some downs for sure in this afternoon session, but the high points were very high and great competition overall. It's going to end up being very tight between William and Mary, Cornell, and even Westchester trying to make a little bit of noise there late. And it looks like William and Mary, as the final unofficial totals roll in, that floor set may have been enough. Michelle No with a 9.725. And here are your floor scores. 9.7 from Penzi, 9.725, and it just popped up on the big board here in the Palestra. That's what the team is reacting to from the corral. They have moved ahead of Cornell, and it's going to be William and Mary, the number 6 seed, that has the lead at the end of the afternoon session. Again, all scores unofficial until they're certified, but by half a tenth, 192.975 for William and Mary. Just able to edge out Cornell with a 192.925. So really exciting finish. And Tiara, hopefully this does set the tone. Whether or not it's these scores that hold up, hopefully sets the tone tonight for what we expect will be a very close and high-level competition to crown a GEC winner.
Definitely. Again, UPenn reigning champions, looking to hold on to that title, but everyone else looking to take it away from them. It's going to be a fun meet to watch.
Now, there is no doubt about that. We get the final beam score from Westchester. It's Lily McFarland's 9.6. Here are those fourth rotation scores. Great beam set for Westchester. 48.825, just a quarter tenth off of their season high beam. And it's enough to put them into a solid third place. Here are your meet scores at the end of the first session. William and Mary, how about the Tribe? 192.975, started strong, finished strong. They get the win by half a tenth. Cornell 192.925, Westchester third, 192.275, and then Southern Connecticut State 191.175. Those are your unofficial results. William and Mary, all smiles at the end of the afternoon session. Let's take one final break, come back to wrap things up